And it's very hard to regain that sense of calm. So then when another event happens, it just keeps building on. It's like a pearl necklace.
Yeah.
So there's a beautiful pearl necklace. And if you take scissors and cut it, the pearls disperse.
Right.
But each pearl can be likened to each trauma you've experienced from the very first one that the fractal shattered, or the glass shattered, yeah.
Well, you know, I've done a few sessions with you on constellation, family constellation, and even that, you talk about the blind loyalties we have to our family and within the family environment. I don't mean right here, right now.
Right.
Systemic from our ancestors.
They're hidden loyalties, right? And they're deep. The word hidden in itself is a big chunk, right? It means a lot. Something's hidden. So there's secrets. And anytime there's secrets in the family, there's going to be loyalties that someone else plays out.
Wow.
And the most, I would say, traumatic hidden loyalties come from war. And no one has never not had someone in their life, whether they know them personally or not, but especially in a family, that the person or an ancestor has not gone to war. So war affects us from way back. And there is a saying that when there has been war, the war comes home, not just with the person who's been to war, but the war comes home because it's hidden in the family and the bomb goes off. So there's a lot of bombs that go off in families and they don't understand why. The violence, the anger, the disruptions, the need to sedate, to drink, to drug, to put out the pain, right? So it's that bomb going off in the family.
Wow. So the family constellation work is to get to the underlying stuff? Is that how it works, Colli? Like,
it's to get to what is hidden.
What's hidden? Okay.
It's to get to what's driving the person that's being affected in a direction they don't even know they're going.
Right. Right. Oh, ask me that. That's right. So, Colli, what got you into doing the work that you do? Because I think it is the most magnificent modality that people can actually embrace.
Right.
It's powerful stuff.
It's very powerful. I personally have so many certificates. I don't have a wall big enough to put them on, and I don't even have them out, right? I don't have an office. I am the office and my computer, and we go. And that's to say that I have trained in Psych-K and kinesiology, specialized touch for health, neurolinguistic programming, and
Somatic
hypnosis,
experience.
somatic body work, all that. Family constellations came into my life in a way that everything does. I've been blessed all my life with master trainers and mentors. And my personal experience was that as a child, I was born in Regina, and my mother was very unwell at the time, and I was raised for the first 6 years by my godparents, and then returned to live with my biological mother. But there was alcoholism with my father's line, and my mother, in order to, then like a lot of women do, to become loved by the men, they become like the men. So my mother started to drink. And at the time when my mom did marry my father, it was such that it wasn't a marriage that was accepted. So there was a lot of trauma there. And so the time that I spent in her womb was not the easiest for her or I. So I found out later. So there was a lot of trauma set up within the dynamics of the family and then carried in me. And so then when I was with my mother for the first 6 years after not being with her, she died when I was 14. So I moved out at 15 because my dad being an alcoholic, I didn't want to continue with the verbal and emotional abuse. So I basically had a very good start to trauma.
You did?
Yes, I mean,
Wow.
there was a lot.
Yeah.
And throughout the times that I've been alive, things have just come into my life in ways that showed me the possibilities, right? And I took those opportunities. And times when it didn't go well. So the work itself, Family Constellations, came into my life after many years of communication studies, many years of working with top athletes and elite entertainers, and many years of just continually working on me. And I was living in Vancouver for quite a while, and a lovely shaman came into my life from Oaxaca, Mexico. And I worked with her over the years, and we peeled off various layers. And then when I moved back to Saskatchewan 10 years ago, I was living out in Govan, where I had my home at the time. And the phone rang, and it was Leonora. And she said, Colli, what are you doing? And I said, I'm gardening. And she goes, no. I mean, what are you doing with your life? And I said, well, I'm working on my book, and, da-da-da. She goes, no, you must start to do family constellation work. And I went, what the heck is family constellation work? She said, well, you'll find out. I have to go now. And she disappeared.
So she's the woman from, the shaman from Mexico?
From Mexico.
Wow.
So I went, oh, great. Now what? So I started to research instantly, and there was nothing in Saskatchewan. And then I came across Mark Boleyn's book, It Didn't Start With You. So I called his receptionist, and I said, hello? And she said, well, he's doing a workshop in Victoria next weekend. Be there. And I went, and I got there. So he and I worked, and it was one of those sessions where I didn't want to be called. I did not want to have to work. And he left me till the very end, probably knowing that. And when he asked me to come across the room towards him to do the session with him, I couldn't. I started to cry, I couldn't walk. He said, you're not ready, go sit down. So I sat down, and then he looked at me again and said, are you ready now? And I went, so I walked, and I sat beside him, and the rest is history. So from him, I started to train with him, and then I started to train with a lady in Spain, 3 years with her. And then, lo and behold, I don't know how, because I never really know how these things happen, they just do their miracles. I ended up in the University of Toronto with the top person who actually is one of the originators of Family Constellation, and she worked with side by side with Bert Hellinger, and as well as Peter Levine, the somatic expert, and so many other people. I mean, she's traveled the world, she's worked in prisons, she's worked with the Russian government, she's worked with the military, you name it. And so now I'm under her wing.
Are you?
I just finished my master's with her in the university. I am now the ambassador for the university, and I'm working on my PhD with a full scholarship.
Wow. Colli, so when we think about it, we think about a person that's gone through what you've gone through right at the start of your life. The
Right at
start of
conception.
your life. Did you ask for that? Of course you didn't.
No.
Well, I don't know what we asked for when we come here.
Right.
But Colli, to see you and stepping into your power
Right.
as a woman, as a person, as a human on this planet, to say, I want to be a better me. But what was really cool is this woman, this shaman, saying that you needed to go and do family constellation.
Yeah.
She saw it in you.
Oh, yeah. Well, she is amazing.
So now we're so fortunate to say we've had a woman go through her work and do what she's doing to help heal others. And that's exactly what life is about. We often go and learn or teach what it is we need to learn. So I know myself, I'm a lifelong learner. Like just listening to you and doing all this stuff, I'm like, oh, that just gets me so excited. But in a different way.
In a different way.
In a different way, because I never ever wanted to go into the depth of family constellation, but being a participant in family constellation is mesmerizing. Because I was looking on your website the other day, and it was talking about our little ones. So I raised my grandson since he was 4,
Right.
and 2 of my grandkids just lost their dad, my son. And we were able in Saskatoon to do a family constellation with you.
Right.
And to bring it in, and what was really cool, here's me with all these freaking nails as usual, but my granddaughter was there.
Right.
And then we brought my dad, a picture of my dad who's passed, and a picture of my son, their dad, who's passed, and we were all in that constellation together. It was such a power, and really, I was there as I guess, to hold space.
You were there to be very involved.
And it was
Yeah.
deeper and amazing when we walked away from that, Colli, and how the kids, what I've observed them, because I've been watching them, because I've been through family constellation. I mean, these kids just lost their dad. Their
Yes.
mom is an addict.
Yes.
So it's like, how can we help our little people start healing so that they're not carrying this systemic trauma forward?
Right, yeah, absolutely.
And then, you look at the Gabor Mate's, Mark, Bert Hellinger, they're all older men.
Oh, very
Like-
much. And a lot of them right now, when I'm speaking about doing the PhD at the university, a lot of them are at that level of life where they have said to us, we need to pass this on because we won't be here much longer. And some of them are 80s and 90s.
See, I know.
So, and the wisdom and the knowledge. And the beauty of the work, people go, well, how can you do trauma? I love trauma because it heals. Right? So my professor, Dr. Anglin, said to me one day, with regards to me doing this, I was like, oh, really? And she said, well, the whole thing about trauma is you can't do trauma unless you know trauma.
Right.
You can't step into this role and help someone who's been traumatized unless you have had trauma to know the depth of which it goes, and also to the training. Because there are people out there who can say, and will say, that they can work with people who have been traumatized, but the big thing is, are they going to re-trigger them?
Right.
And that is huge, because
So-
there's so much re-triggering that goes on.
Now you get me kind of curious about this, because I often say, okay, we go off to university, become a psychologist, a social
Right.
worker. That's a common one.
Right.
Is everybody's going to be a social worker. And it's like, they go and learn it from the books.
Right.
But
But if you
have
haven't
they,
embodied it, if
you
you haven't
haven't-
embodied it,
right.
it's very challenging to understand it,
Yeah.
to experience it, is to know it, to own it, right? And to acknowledge it,
Yeah.
and then to release it,
As you say, embodying it
right?
and knowing it.
Right.
Wow, I don't know, I guess I'm pretty fortunate. Like, I started my life pretty darn good, had a great set of parents, they stayed together. So I look at my life and I just every day say how blessed I am.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I got to raise my grandson
Yes.
was powerful for me. Yeah, people go, oh, well, that's not fair, you're raising him. Are you kidding? That boy taught me so many lessons. I had to catch myself as an adult with this boy when he was 13, kind of blowing up back at him
Mm-hmm.
because he had anger issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what the heck is going on for me? I'm the adult here,
Right.
But it was the triggers. So we do, there was a relationship course I took one time,
Right.
and it was intimate, came up. Well, my intimate relationships was my partner that I'm with now
Right.
and my grandson, because it's into me I see. It's not just intimate, I'm gonna just this.
Right.
It's into me I see. So often when we're meeting people, we partner with people, we cross paths with people in our lives, we're really seeing pieces of us that we need to see.
Absolutely. And there is such a thing as a trauma bond.
A trauma bond.
People bond together at the level of trauma that they've experienced.
Wow.
And when you've healed through trauma, if you're in a relationship, for example, 12-step programs,
Yeah.
people go there, and you've had a situation where you're using something, I've had a situation where I'm using something, there's this bond, and a lot of relationships form out of that. But the interesting thing is, people don't realize is that what changes is that when the one person changes and the other one doesn't, the level of trauma has shifted. So then all of a sudden the relationship will shift and may be over.
Wow.
Yeah.
You don't even think of that, because you hear of people that go into rehabilitation centers and different things like that, and it's like they build such a bond in there, and then they get back out into the real
Right.
world,
Right.
and then they're back into
Right.
whatever it is. So, in Saskatchewan here, I remember when Indian Head, there was an addiction center in
Right.
Indian Head, it had a fire, and this is a little pet peeve of mine, is there's a center there, it has a fire, there's another place that was gonna set up
Mm-hmm.
in Fort Salmon, Saskatchewan,
Right.
to be able to facilitate that type of stuff. and the town itself denied it. And I'm going, are you kidding me? Because it's gonna like down your real estate because you have people that are doing the work to get past their addictions? I just, to this day, I just go, so if it wasn't called an addiction center and it was called a corporate wellness center, would people be looking at it different when it's the same darn stuff that we're all dealing with?
Exactly.
So that really hurts my
Right
heart.
there within that community, there's
Trauma.
secrets,
Right.
hidden loyalties,
Right.
right? Within the organizations,
Yeah.
within
Yeah.
the whole structure.
Because if we
of the
bring this
community.
into our community, this is
Right.
what it's gonna do for our community.
So
Why is
there's
that? Why are you thinking that way? So,
Secrets.
yeah, that's pretty powerful, Colli. So like we said, you know, when we think of our children, I really believe children are the ones that they don't have as many, how do we say it, locks in themselves.
Well, yes and no, because they carry it in
Oh,
their
they carry
DNA.
Okay.
So, yes and no,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And maybe it's because they're more open.
They're more open until someone says, shut down.
Shut down.
But the thing is, they're still carrying, if there's family secrets and hidden loyalties, they're still carrying that and it's gonna play out. It doesn't necessarily always play out in, say, for example, I have a daughter.
Mhm.
So things that I have experienced isn't going to necessarily affect her, but it certainly could affect my grandchildren.
Right.
And it has. My daughter has a daughter, Taya, and I had massive teeth issues in the last couple of years that went back to my ancestry in Poland, right?
Wow.
The famine, all different kinds of things that were revealed. And so my daughter comes along and she has this immaculate, beautiful set of teeth, not a cavity.
Mhm.
But my granddaughter was, when she was 2, was on a piece of furniture, fell, broke her front teeth, and went through massive amounts of traumatized surgery like I did. So it can skip.
Oh, okay, kids,
Yeah.
generations.
Yeah. So
Wow, so powerful. And you know, family constellation, working with families, working with individuals within the families, do you find, like if one person in a family line, because I mean, the people that are gonna be working on it right now are the people here right now.
right.
So if I make a decision to do family constellation and do that work on myself,
Right.
does it help heal the lineage?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because that's what I was
Forward
wondering.
and backward.
Forward and backwards.
Yes.
So for those of you, don't be afraid to think, oh, I need to get my family together to do this. You don't have to. I was fortunate because my family was open to healing.
Right.
Through what we had gone through, they were open to it. But if you just step up, guess what? You're helping everybody around you heal.
Most
Like your
importantly.
family, your
Yes,
family line.
absolutely.
And we don't
Absolutely.
want that to continue. You know, I was just thinking as you were talking, you said Poland, and I'm thinking about, you know, the Ukraine and what was going on over there, and I said, we're from Yorkton, Saskatchewan,
Right.
and we're very Ukrainian cultured community. I said, I can imagine the way people are feeling here when you have that as part of your ancestry.
It re-triggers.
Oh, I couldn't
Absolutely.
imagine.
It completely is re-triggering people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because that fear is now resurfacing, right?
Wow.
All that glass shattering and the fractals, right? All the
Yeah.
stuff that they went through years ago, it's
Yeah.
it's re-triggering them.
Well, you know, I bet you, what's it called, the Human Rights Museum in Winnipeg. I can imagine the triggers that would go on for people there.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
I think it's the 6th floor is the genocide floor.
Right.
I didn't even know when I went there, and the guy goes, you don't have to go that way if you don't want to. I'm going there. And there was a little statue of a really skinny little girl, and she was a Ukrainian girl, and they went through a famine. So they really went through a genocide.
Yeah.
But you didn't, I never heard about that in school. I
No.
never heard about any of that stuff.
And that's why history matters.
History does
History
matter.
is crucial. And it's the work I do too. I get into the history of the family because if we don't know the history and you don't, I mean, even places have history. Your building here has a history.
Yeah.
And if we don't know, like when I do workshops, if I don't know, and I did check up on the history of the building before I would accept to do a workshop in the building, because there can be things that will deter the constellation session from not being successful, but things can sidetrack
Interrupt.
it and interrupt it.
Wow.
So I always check the history of everything. Yeah.
Isn't that cool? The history of everything. And you know, as a
Yeah.
kid, when you're in school, you got to take history. When you get to high school, and you're like, oh,
Yeah, right.
what do I need to learn this crap for?
Because it repeats.
It repeats.
And it is,
yes,
right now.
yes. I mean, look at our economic
Yeah.
system.
It
Everything
repeats.
cycles and
Yeah.
repeats.
It repeats.
So, yeah, well, this has just been great. You know, as long as I've known Colli and just am inspired every time I have a conversation with you. Bless your heart and the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
But every time I have a conversation with you, I am just inspired to new levels, because I guess the word hope, you know, a lot of people, they totally lose hope in life and their life and whatever's going on. You know what, there's hope. Step into it, step up to it, you know.
There's always going to be people, places, and things that show up to guide us, to lead us, to give us an opportunity to be more than we believe we are, right?
Yeah.
And who we really are is us.
Yeah.
But most people want to be someone else.
Oh, identity. Oh my goodness, that's a big,
Absolutely. And so it's that grace and ease and just stepping into that ownership of who you are and acknowledging. If I was to continue just accepting and pushing away my history and not acknowledging and embracing it and embodying it, I wouldn't be sitting here with you
Of course
today.
you wouldn't be.
Right?
And you wouldn't be doing the work that you're doing to help others, because
No, exactly.
you wouldn't have the ability.
No.
Because as you said, you know, often people, or I said in the education system, you're going through the books,
Right.
but you're not embodying it.
No.
You've embodied it.
Yeah.
What a better person than somebody that's actually gone through it and knows what it feels like.
Well, you know, we all have been given a path, right? So this is my soul's path, and I'm blessed. And I'm so grateful to you and to Sylvia and to the Hub and to Access TV, because this information, not just about this, but about what you do here and the community, it's a very special place, Yorkton, and it's a very special place, the Hub, and to have it now being able to reach out to people through Access, it's quite a gift.
Well,
it really is.
I was really pleased this morning when you said, because I've lived in Yorkton, I was born in Regina as well.
Right.
Lived in Weyburn, Prince Albert, came to Yorkton grade 6, and I loved Yorkton.
There's an energy here.
Yes,
Beautiful
there
energy.
is. And there was an opportunity years ago to sell my business and move off, and I'm going, no, I have a bigger purpose right here, right now, where I am.
Right.
I know I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I did move half an hour north, half an hour. So I'm like right in the midst of nature at Good Spirit Lake.
Right. Beautiful.
You know, yeah, it's beautiful out there. So it's funny even that, because just kind of on but off topic,
Right.
Good Spirit Lake, north of Yorkton, used to be called Devil's Lake.
Interesting.
Crazy. And now it's called Good Spirit.
Interesting
Yeah.
to know
I
the
don't-
history of the change.
Yeah. I just ordered the book, so I'm
Yeah.
going to find out what went on back then that it would even be called Devil's Lake. So
Interesting.
we have so much history just in our province of Saskatchewan.
Oh, it's amazing.
And whether this is the truth or not, but I had heard at one time that the Dalai Lama was flying over Canada, and as he got over Saskatchewan, he goes, where is that? It was almost like he could feel the energy of our province. So,
Oh, wow.
you know, we're in Access, we're with Access now right here in Yorkton, Saskatchewan. And honestly, if you're one of the million, whatever it is in Saskatchewan, be proud. Because honestly, we have such an amazing,
There's a depth.
there's a depth
There's a
here.
real depth, yeah.
And I think sometimes because maybe we have gone through the pains and different things and suppression and recession and all that kind of stuff. Whereas when you get to the coast, the East Coast, West Coast, well not East Coast, but Toronto, everything seems to always be vibrant and booming when you're getting there.
Right.
Saskatchewan doesn't really know any difference because we've just kind of gone with the
Right
flow
at the
of
wave.
this. But when you think about it, that's pretty cool.
It is.
Because you haven't gone here and here and
Right.
here, but you've ridden
It's
the wave.
consistent.
Yeah, it's
There's
consistent.
a consistency, right?
Yeah.
And the people are consistent.
The people are.
They are,
Right.
right? There is a consistency
Yeah,
with the people. You know what you're getting.
You know what you're getting.
Salt of the earth.
You know what you're getting. So that really made me proud when you came in this morning and you said, man, you know, I was driving to Yorkton, it's almost like this is where I need to be. It's such a great place.
It is. Every time I come here, once I get closer and closer,
Yeah.
there's just this feeling of,
Wow.
yeah.
So for those of us that are, not me because I don't say that, but for those of you that are walking around going, oh, I hate this town I live in, it sucks. You know what? Maybe think about looking inside. What's going on for you that it sucks where you are? Is it too cold? Is it?
They'd be taking the suck wherever they go,
The
right? Because there's no geographical cure, because the geographical cure is within, right? It's within your DNA and it's within your ancestral line. So, you know, you can move wherever and it's still gonna show up.
Yeah.
And it's still not going to be happy.
So honor yourself, honestly, step into doing personal growth and the things that make you live your life in joy, because setting intentions for your life, it sounds corny, I know I've been told you're just fluffy, but honestly, setting intentions for your life and goals and really embracing those people around you that elevate you.
Exactly.
You've got toxic friends, like you got friends since you're little and you hang on to them because that's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
So Colli, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you,
It
Laurie.
really is
Thank
an
you very
honor.
much, and thank you, Access.
Yeah, and Access Now, it's been wonderful. Thank you for being right here in the province of Saskatchewan. We're honored. So we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye for now.